All right. You gave your neighbor $3,200 for a blown transmission, and 3 weeks later she pulls up outside in a brand new car.
Yes, ma'am. A completely different car. A silver Honda Civic. Never seen it before in my life.
How long had you known this woman before you handed her $3,200?
About 2 years, ma'am. She lived right next door.
Did you go to her and ask for the money, or did she offer it?
She offered. Ma'am, I told her what happened with my car, and she said she wanted to help.
She offered $3,200, just volunteered it.
Not exactly, ma'am. I told her I was in serious trouble and might lose my job. She asked how much I needed.
So you told her you were in trouble, might lose your job, and her response was to ask how much you needed, and you said $3,200. Was there any agreement about repayment? Any terms at all?
Yes, ma'am. She said 60 days, all at once, not in payments. She was very specific. Said she had 2 big paychecks coming and would cover it all by then. I believed her. She'd never asked me for anything before.
When she called asking for the money, what time of day was it, and did you give it to her right then, or did you take any time to think it over?
She called Tuesday morning, ma'am. She was crying. She said the shop needed a commitment that day or they'd give her spot to someone else. I called my husband. He said it was my call. I went next door that afternoon and handed her a check.
She was crying when she called. To defendant, when you found out you needed $3,200, what was going through your head? And were you actually crying when you called her?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I had my daughter with me that morning. I couldn't get to work. I was panicking about losing my job. I had a child to provide for. The tears were real. I wasn't performing anything.
You mentioned your daughter. Was she home when the car failed? And during all of this, the car, the job, the money crisis, was there anyone else supporting her, or was it just you?
Just me, ma'am. Her father isn't in the picture. She was 7 at the time. She was home because it was a Saturday morning. I didn't want her to see me that upset, but she did. She kept asking what was wrong.
To plaintiff, she mentions the child, single mother, no support, little girl at home. Did you know about her daughter at the time? Did that factor into your decision to hand over $3,200?
Absolutely, ma'am. She mentioned her daughter on the phone. Said she didn't know what she'd do if she lost her income. I have children of my own. That hit me hard. I couldn't say no.
You knew that bringing up a child in distress would land hard with a mother. To defendant, was that deliberate, or were you just telling the truth about your life?
The truth, ma'am. I wasn't calculating it. When you're that scared, you say what's real. My daughter is always real. I didn't think, oh, she has kids, I'll use that. That's not what happened.
Let me talk about the car. Walk me through Saturday morning. What time did you try to start it? What did it do? And at what point did you know this wasn't a small problem?
I got in around 7:30, ma'am. It started fine. I backed out of my space normally. When I tried to shift forward and accelerate, the car shuddered hard, like a jolt, and then it wouldn't move at all. I tried twice more. Same thing. Then nothing.
It started fine, backed out fine, and then shuddered going forward. Was the engine still running when it stopped moving, or did it stall? Did any warning lights come on?
The engine kept running, ma'am, but the gears weren't catching. I could rev it and nothing happened, no movement. Then a check engine light and another warning light came on almost immediately. That's when I knew it was serious.
To plaintiff, when she called Tuesday and described what was wrong, did she give you those details? The shuddering, the lights, the car not moving? Or was it just the transmission is blown?
She just said, the transmission is shot, it won't move, ma'am. No mechanical detail. I'm not a car person. I wouldn't have understood it anyway. I just knew it was expensive and she was desperate.
Let me talk about this shop. You said it was in Garland, about 40 miles away. Your cousin found it. What was the name of the place?
I don't remember the exact name, ma'am. Something like Garland Transmission or GT Auto. Something generic. I know that sounds vague. It's been over a year, and I was a wreck that week. I genuinely cannot pull the name right now.
Something like Garland Transmission. You handed $3,200 of someone else's dollars to a business, and you're giving me something like. What street was it on? What did the building look like?
Off the highway somewhere, Route 30 or 35, I'm not certain. My cousin drove. I was in the passenger seat, not looking at road signs. I was thinking about my job and my daughter. I wasn't paying attention to where we were going.
Your cousin handled the directions, the mechanic, the negotiations, the price, and apparently the tow as well. How did the car get from your complex to a shop 40 miles away?
The shop sent their truck, ma'am. My cousin called them back on Sunday and told them where the car was. They came Monday morning and picked it up. I watched them load it. It was a real tow truck. They came and got the car.
They came Monday, but you had Megan's check by Tuesday afternoon. So the car was being towed to an unnamed shop before the money even existed. How did you arrange payment if the money wasn't confirmed until Tuesday?
I told them to hold, ma'am. My cousin called and said we'd have payment within 48 hours. They agreed to start the diagnosis, but not the repair until the money was there. When Megan gave me the check Tuesday, I drove it out there the same day.
A shop 40 miles away tows your car in and delays payment for 48 hours based on your cousin's word alone. And they accepted a personal check for $3,200 when you arrived?
My cousin had used them before, ma'am. They knew him. He had a relationship with someone there. And yes, they accepted the check. I know it sounds unusual, but that is exactly how it happened.
Your cousin, the one with the relationship who handled everything, is not in this room. Where does he live and why didn't you bring him?
He lives in Dallas, ma'am. He couldn't get off work on a Tuesday. I didn't think I'd need him to prove a tow truck. Looking back, I absolutely should have asked him to come. I know that now.
The one person who can confirm your entire story, shop, tow, mechanic, payment, lives in Dallas and couldn't get off work. You are in a courtroom being sued for $3,200.
I know how it sounds, ma'am. I know everything I'm saying sounds convenient. But the repair happened. I can't make my cousin appear out of thin air, but I swear on my daughter's life, that transmission was fixed.
To plaintiff, when you handed her the check Tuesday afternoon, did she give you any detail about the shop? A name, a location, anything about a cousin being involved?
Not one detail, ma'am. She said the shop, like I should already know which one. No name, no location, nothing about a cousin. She thanked me, said she'd have the money back in 60 days, and left. That was the entire conversation.
No name, no location, no cousin mentioned at all. To defendant. It didn't occur to you to give her even a name so she'd know where her $3,200 was going.
I was in a rush, ma'am. I needed to get back to Garland to deliver the check before they changed their mind. I wasn't thinking about logistics. I was just moving fast. I should have told her more. I understand that now.
Rushing to a nameless shop on an unknown street. To defendant. I want to understand why you went to Megan specifically. Before Tuesday, who else did you try that weekend?
I called my sister Saturday afternoon, ma'am. She's on a fixed income, couldn't help. I called an ex who owes me money. He didn't answer. I called my bank about a personal loan, and they said 3 to 5 business days for approval. By Sunday night, Megan was my only real option.
Your bank said 3 to 5 days and the shop needed a commitment by Monday. So the bank loan was off the table from the start. Had you ever borrowed money from Megan before, even a small amount, or was this the first time?
Never, ma'am. Not once in 2 years. We'd exchanged favors, watched packages, helped with things. But money? Never. I thought that because I'd never asked her for anything, she'd be more willing to trust me. I hated making that call.
To plaintiff, she says she'd never asked you for anything in 2 years. Did that play a role in your decision? Did her track record of not asking make you more likely to say yes?
100%, ma'am. 2 years. Not a cup of sugar, not a favor, nothing. She seemed very self-sufficient, so when she finally called crying, I thought this must be genuinely terrible. She wouldn't ask unless it was real.
To defendant, She says your reputation for never asking made her more willing to say yes. Did you know that about her? That 2 years of not asking would work in your favor when you finally did?
I wasn't calculating that, ma'am. I wasn't thinking about my track record and how it would affect her answer. I called because she was kind and I was out of options. I wasn't running a strategy.
Let's talk about your job. You told her you'd lose your job if you missed another shift. What was the actual situation at work? Had you already been warned?
Yes, ma'am. I'd missed one shift earlier that month when I wasn't feeling well. My supervisor spoke to me, a verbal warning. Missing another shift felt like a genuine risk. That part of what I told Megan was completely real.
To plaintiff when she called, was it specific? Did she say verbal warning, one more and I'm done? Or was it more general, just I might lose my job?
Very specific, ma'am. She used the words verbal warning, said her supervisor told her one more absence and she'd be let go. I remember because it made everything sound more urgent. This wasn't, I'm worried. It was, I was told.
Back to defendant. The job threat was specific and it was real, but you told me earlier you worked Tuesday through Saturday. So how was Saturday a make or break shift?
Those were voluntary extra shifts I'd signed up for, ma'am. Saturday and Sunday were overtime I'd committed to. Missing a shift you've committed to is almost as bad as missing a regular one. And I needed those hours for the money.
Voluntary shifts. You were on thin ice because of missed voluntary shifts plus one prior absence. Rather than call your supervisor and explain a car emergency, something most employers understand, you borrowed $3,200 from your neighbor instead. Why not call the job first?
I thought about it, ma'am, but I'd already used the sick day as an excuse once. I was worried they'd see through it. And the car wasn't going to fix itself anyway. I needed the repair money regardless. The job pressure just made everything more urgent.
Let me nail something down. The car fails Saturday at 7:30. You call your cousin. When does your cousin actually contact the shop? Does he find them that same Saturday morning?
He called me back around noon Saturday, ma'am. Said he'd found a place, that it would be $3,200, and that if we committed by Monday, they'd get us in. I said okay. Then I spent the weekend trying to figure out where the money would come from.
He calls you at noon Saturday with the price and a Monday deadline. By noon, your cousin has already found a shop 40 miles away, gotten a quote on a transmission for a car he hasn't personally seen, and set a deadline. That is fast work.
He's good with cars, ma'am. He knows people. He made calls Saturday morning while I was trying to manage my daughter. By noon, he had an answer. I didn't question the speed. I was just relieved someone had a plan.
You heard $3,200 by Monday, and your reaction was relief, not, is that a fair price? Not, can I get a second quote? Just relief. To defendant, when did the shop tow the car from your complex?
Monday morning, ma'am. My cousin called them Sunday and confirmed we'd have the money. They sent the truck Monday morning. I watched them load it. The car went to Garland Monday, and I got Megan's check Tuesday, and drove it out there that same afternoon.
The car goes to Garland Monday before the money is confirmed, and you get Megan's check Tuesday. To plaintiff, you handed over the check. Did she say anything about having already sent the car to the shop before she had your money?
Nothing, ma'am. She didn't tell me the car was already gone. If I'd known she'd committed to the shop before she had the money, I would have had a lot more questions. She just said she needed it that afternoon. I didn't know the timeline.
To defendant, she didn't know the car was already towed when she handed you the check. You let her believe the money was going to confirm a deal, not that the deal was already in motion without her. Is that accurate?
I didn't intentionally hide that, ma'am. I just didn't explain every detail. I needed the money that afternoon, and I didn't think walking her through the whole timeline was going to help. I wasn't trying to mislead her about the sequence.
Now let's talk about day 60, the day you promised to have $3,200 back to her. What was your financial situation when that day arrived?
Not good, ma'am. The overtime had been cut. The company reduced extra shifts going into summer. I had maybe $400 I could have sent her, but I kept thinking it wasn't worth sending unless I could send it all. so I waited.
You had $400 at day 60, and you didn't send it because it wasn't the full amount.
Ma'am, 400 would have meant everything to me. It would have shown me she was trying. I never even got that.
I heard you. To defendant, she says 400 would have told her you were trying. You knew her well enough to know that. Why didn't you send it?
Pride, ma'am. I didn't want to show up with 400 when I'd promised 3,200. I thought it would look like I was giving up. It was wrong reasoning. I see that clearly now.
Too proud to send 400 as good faith, so you sent nothing. And she heard nothing. That decision is a large part of why you're standing in this room today. To plaintiff. During that 60-day window, did she reach out at all?
Nothing, ma'am. Not a text, not a call. The deadline came and went in silence. I gave her an extra week thinking she'd reach out. Nothing. 2 more weeks, still nothing. By the time I brought it up, she was already showing me the Civic.
She didn't call when the deadline passed, not to say, I'm sorry, I need more time, not to say anything. She just went quiet. To defendant, why didn't you call her when the 60-day window came and went?
Embarrassment, ma'am. I kept thinking I'd find a way to have the money before she asked. I was hoping one more check would come through. I put it off every week. That was wrong. I should have called her the day I knew I couldn't do it.
Every week you put it off, and during one of those weeks you were at a car dealership. Let's talk about the new car. Before the transmission failed, had you been thinking about getting a new vehicle? Was a trade-in on your radar?
Not seriously, ma'am. I'd thought about it the way anyone thinks about eventually getting a new car, but I couldn't afford it. After the repair, my cousin mentioned that with a working transmission, the car had trade-in value again. That's when I started looking.
Your cousin again suggested you now had trade-in value. So within 3 weeks of a repair paid for by your neighbor's money, you acted on his advice and went to a dealership. Did it cross your mind that using the car as a trade-in meant her $3,200 was essentially your down payment on the Civic?
I didn't think about it that way, ma'am. I treated them as 2 separate things. The repair was the repair. The trade-in was a new opportunity that came up after. I wasn't connecting Megan's money to what was happening at the dealership.
You weren't connecting them, but I am. She paid $3,200 for a transmission. The transmission gave the car trade-in value. You traded the car in. Without her money, there is no Civic. Explain to me how those are 2 separate things.
Put that way, they're not fully separate, ma'am. I can hear the chain of it, but I didn't plan it that way. I didn't borrow her money thinking, great, now I can trade the car in. The dealership came up later. That was not the goal going in.
To plaintiff, she says the trade-in was not planned, just a separate opportunity that arose. Do you believe that?
I don't know what she planned, ma'am. What I know is the result. She borrowed my money, the car became tradable. 3 weeks later, she's signing papers on a Civic. Planned or not, I'm the one who paid for her down payment.
To defendant, when you were at the dealership signing papers for the Civic, did you think about the fact that you hadn't paid Megan back yet?
Yes, ma'am. It crossed my mind. I told myself I'd pay her back faster now because the Civic payment came in lower than I'd expected. I thought I was being responsible. I know how ridiculous that sounds sitting here right now.
The Civic payment was lower than expected, so you'd have extra money for Megan. How much lower, and how much of that extra has she seen?
About $40 less per month than I'd planned for, ma'am, and none of it went to Megan. Something always came up. Daycare increased, a medical bill. I know every month I didn't pay her was another month she was waiting.
$40 extra a month for 12 months that never reached her. Let's bring in your witness. To witness you are Derek Holloway. You lived in the same complex as both of these women. How long?
Going on 7 years, ma'am. I was there before either of them moved in. It's a smaller complex. People know each other. You can't avoid it. Everybody sees what's going on whether they want to or not.
How well do you know Brianna Tuck? I want to know the nature of your relationship so I understand how much weight to give what you're about to tell me.
We dated for about 4 months, almost 2.5 years ago now. We ended it on decent terms, no big falling out. After that, we stayed friendly, said hello at the mailbox, helped each other out occasionally. Nothing serious between us since.
You dated her. You're now testifying against her. You understand that a person sitting where I'm sitting is going to look at you very carefully because you have a possible reason to want to damage her story.
I understand that completely, ma'am. That's fair. I want to be as specific as possible. I don't have bad feelings toward Brianna. I didn't volunteer to be here. Megan asked if I'd tell what I saw. I said yes because I think what I saw matters.
You think what you saw matters. Tell me what that is. Start with Brianna's car and start from the Friday before the money changed hands.
That Friday. I know exactly which Friday because the following Sunday was Megan's daughter's birthday party in the courtyard. Brianna knocked on my door around noon and asked for a jump start. I went out, hooked up cables. Her car started on the first try after about 30 seconds. She thanked me and drove off normally.
A dead battery, not a dead transmission. The car started and she drove away without issue. And that was the Friday before the Tuesday she called Megan crying that her transmission had failed?
Correct, ma'am. And I'm certain about the timing because of the birthday party. That Sunday, I helped Megan carry a folding table out to the courtyard for the party. Brianna came by for maybe 20 minutes. 2 days after that party is when Megan told me what happened with the money.
When she drove away after the jump start, did you just see it start? Or did you actually watch the car long enough to know it was running normally?
I watched from the parking lot, ma'am. She pulled out of her space, drove down the aisle, and turned out onto the main road. Normal speed, no stalling, no hesitation. I stood there 30 seconds watching. That's what you do after a jump. Make sure they actually get going.
To defendant. He watched you drive away normally, out onto the main road without a problem. And you're saying that by the very next morning, the transmission was catastrophically gone. That is your timeline?
Yes, ma'am, that's the timeline. I'm not disputing what Derek saw Friday. The battery was the Friday problem. By Saturday morning, something else had let go entirely. Transmissions can fail suddenly. That's a real thing. I'm not making that up.
I know transmissions can fail suddenly. What I'm questioning is everything around it. To witness Saturday morning, the day after the jump start, were you at the complex? Did you see or hear anything involving her or her car?
I was home, ma'am. Slept in. I don't remember seeing her car or not seeing it. I can't tell you whether she was in the parking lot or not. I wish I could give you something either way, but I wasn't paying attention to the lot that morning.
You can't confirm or deny the Saturday breakdown. To plaintiff, were you home that morning? Did you see or hear anything from her direction?
I was home, ma'am, but I didn't see anything. I didn't know anything was wrong until she called Tuesday. If she was in the parking lot with a broken car, I completely missed it.
Nobody witnessed the Saturday breakdown, only Brianna and supposedly her cousin. Back to witness about 2 weeks after Brianna got the new Civic, you mentioned she told you she was going to a dealership that Saturday. What was her mood when she said that?
Excited, ma'am. Upbeat. She said she found a good deal and was going to look at it Saturday. I said something like, "What about the car you had?" She said she was trading it in. Normal, happy conversation. Nothing unusual about her manner at all.
You said, "What about the car you had?" Did she tell you she just had the transmission replaced? Did she mention a $3,200 repair job on the car she was about to trade in?
No mention, ma'am. Nothing about a repair. I pushed a little. I said, "Didn't you just have car trouble?" And she said, "Yeah, I worked it out." No shop, no money, no mention of Megan. Just, "I worked it out." And the conversation moved on.
To defendant, he asked you directly, "Didn't you just have car trouble?" And you said you worked it out. You didn't say, "Yes, I just had the transmission replaced." Why not?
Because I was embarrassed about the money, ma'am. I didn't want everyone knowing I'd borrowed from Megan. It's humiliating. The trade-in was something to be happy about. I shared that. The loan was something to be ashamed of. I kept that private.
You shared what made you look good and kept quiet about what didn't. To witness later after she had the Civic, did she ever say anything to you about what she owed Megan?
Once, ma'am. About a week after she got the Civic. She said, and I remember this clearly, I feel bad about Megan's money. I need to work that out. I asked what she meant. She said it's complicated and changed the subject immediately.
To defendant. He remembers it clearly. You said, I feel bad about Megan's money, not I owe her for a loan, not I need to make a payment. You said you felt bad about the money. Why those words?
That's just how I talk, ma'am. When I say feel bad, I mean guilt about owing someone. I wasn't confessing anything. It was a throwaway comment. He's reading into it.
He's reading into, I feel bad about Megan's money. I need to work that out. Those are not the words of someone with a clean loan and a payment coming. Those sound like someone who knows something is off.
The guilt was about missing the 60-day window, ma'am. Nothing more. I'd promised her a date, and I'd blown it. That was the guilt I was expressing, not some hidden confession. Just guilt about a debt I couldn't clear on time.
The guilt of not paying on time. And yet instead of that guilt pushing you to call her, you went from that guilt straight to a car dealership, to witness last question. Knowing everything you know, what does your gut tell you happened here?
My gut, ma'am? I think something was going on with Brianna's finances. And I think the transmission story may have been stretched. I could be wrong. But when you can't name the shop, can't name the street, and traded the car in 3 weeks later, it doesn't sit right with me.
To defendant, he knows you. He dated you. He has no clear agenda against you. And his gut says the story was stretched. What do you say when someone who genuinely knows you reaches that conclusion?
I say it's hard to prove a negative, ma'am. I cannot make the shop appear. I can't fly my cousin here. All I have is my word. I know that isn't enough for this room, but my word is all I've ever had in this.
Your word to plaintiff. Tell me about the phone call, the one where she asked you for $500 more. Walk me through it. What did she say when she called?
She called on a Saturday afternoon, ma'am. Said she had an unexpected expense and was short on her car payment. Asked if I could help with $500 just until next week. She said next week like she was only borrowing $500 and not like she already owed me $3,200.
She asked for $500 without mentioning the $3,200 she already owed. When did you bring it up?
I had to bring it up myself, ma'am. I said, Brianna, what about my $3,200? She went quiet for a few seconds. Then she said she was working on it and could we talk about it another time. I said no to the $500 and hung up.
To defendant. You called your creditor asking for more money without mentioning what you already owed. When she asked about the $3,200, you went quiet and said you'd talk about it another time. What was your plan on that call?
I thought if she said yes to the $500, I'd bring up the $3,200 right after, say I was close to paying it back and wanted her to know. She said no before I could get there. I know that sounds backwards. It was.
You were going to use a yes to $500 as the opening to say, by the way, here's where we are on the $3,200. That is a remarkable communication strategy.
I wasn't thinking clearly, ma'am. I was behind on everything. I thought if she said yes, it would open a door. She said no, and the door slammed. I regret making that phone call more than almost any other decision in this whole situation.
To plaintiff, after that phone call, how long before you filed a claim? And in between, did she ever reach out to you?
The call was late May, ma'am. I waited 2 more months thinking she'd reach out on her own. She never did. Then in July, she moved without saying a word to me. Derek told me the apartment was empty. I filed in August.
She moved without telling you. To defendant, you lived next door to this woman for 2 years. She gave you $3,200. When you left in July, did you knock on her door, call her, text her before you left?
I texted her 3 days after I moved, ma'am. I said I was sorry for the way things happened, that I hadn't meant to just disappear, and that I was going to make things right when I got settled. I know it wasn't enough, but I did reach out.
3 days after, not before. She'd already noticed the empty apartment. She found out from Derek, and your text said, make things right when I get settled. That was in July, 8 months ago. Since that text, $1?
No, ma'am, not $1. Rent, car payment, daycare, utilities. There is always something that pushes Megan's payment to next month. I'm not proud of that. Not at all.
Next month for 8 months since the text and 12 months since the loan to defendant. Here's a hypothetical. Reverse the situation. Megan borrows $3,200 from you, gets a new car 3 weeks later, calls you for more money and moves away. What do you think?
I'd think she took advantage of me, ma'am. I understand that. I can hear how my situation sounds from the outside. I know the truth from inside it, but I can hear exactly how it looks from where you're sitting.
You'd think she took advantage without hesitation, and you're asking me to find a reason not to conclude the same about you. So what is that reason? What do you have that I haven't heard today?
Just my word, ma'am. I came in thinking I could explain my way through this. I can hear that I haven't. All I can say is, I did not make that emergency up. I am not a thief. I am a person who made bad choice after bad choice, and I'm standing here with nothing to show for any of it.
To plaintiff, after everything you've heard today, the shop with no name, the cousin in Dallas, the traded car, what do you believe? Was there ever a real transmission problem?
Honestly, ma'am, I've gone back and forth. At first I thought maybe there was some small car trouble and she misused the money. Now, after today, I think the emergency was manufactured. I think she knew exactly what to say to make me open my wallet.
To defendant, your former friend, the woman who stood next door to you for 2 years, believes you manufactured the whole thing. You can see her face. What do you say directly to that?
Megan, I know you don't believe me. I understand why. I swear to you, I didn't make that up. I needed help. I asked for it, and I failed to pay you back. I'm sorry for all of it. I'm sorry for every part.
Don't address her. Address me. I'm the one deciding this. To plaintiff, before I give you my decision, anything left you want me to hear?
Just one thing, ma'am. She was my neighbor, and I thought she was my friend. I didn't loan her that money to be repaid by a court order. I loaned it because I trusted her. That trust is gone, and money won't fix it. But the money still matters.
The money still matters. She's right. To defendant. You've had every chance to speak today. Is there anything left, anything at all, that you think I haven't heard that could change the direction I'm heading?
Just that I never wanted it to come to this. I was scared. I made choices that were wrong, and I know there are consequences for that. I'm not going to pretend I handled any part of this well. I didn't.
Here's what I know. A witness, someone who dated the defendant and has no clear stake in lying about her, saw her car running normally 2 days before she called crying about a blown transmission. The shop where $3,200 went has no name, no street, no one to confirm it exists. The cousin who arranged everything is in Dallas. The repaired car was traded in within 3 weeks for a new vehicle. The plaintiff was told nothing when the 60-day deadline passed. The defendant had $400 available and chose not to send it out of pride. She then called the plaintiff for more money without once mentioning the outstanding debt. She moved away without a word. Her text said she'd make things right. 8 months later, nothing. I don't know with certainty whether the transmission was real. What I do know with certainty is that Megan Calloway loaned $3,200 in good faith and has received $0 back. That is not in dispute. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,200. We're done.
Thank you, ma'am.